Welcome back. We've had a very busy night here in the studio since we came off the air an hour and a half ago. There's been a particularly good response in the case of the Debbie Linsley murder. We've had over 100 calls, more details of that from a very pleased investigating officer later, and a possible identification of that burned body of a man dumped near Blackburn. Nick.
First, that security van robbery in south-east London, which actually began at the home of one of the security guards.
Police, we come about Mr. Stanley Wilson's car.
The gang, disguised in wigs and masks, took the guard's wife hostage. Down a secluded track behind Millwall football ground, they emptied the van of bags containing £750,000. Sergeant Strafford, you've had a remarkable response tonight.
Yes, the most encouraging is the white Bedford van. We've recovered that in Clapham in South London tonight. I'm very, very pleased. That's a very important clue for us.
Where is the van now?
The van is being taken to Clapham Police Station, where it will be forensically examined for fingerprints and other clues first thing in the morning.
Well, good for a viewer spotting that. Been outside his house, had it?
It's been outside his house, he believes, for up to a week.
Now, you've had some names offered too, some by some quite senior police officers.
Yes, we've had lots of suggestions regarding the artist's impression, and even an ex-commander from Scotland Yard, now retired, rang me with a suggestion for the suspect.
Good. What about the criminal underworld? There's a vast reward on this, £75,000.
Yes, there is, and we've had lots of suggestions. We've been inundated with suggestions regarding the identity of that suspect.
You also want some more information about a motorbike that was used in the raid. You've recovered the motorbike, but you want to find out more about it,
yes,
with its distinctive suspension.
We do. I'd like to know where that motorbike was kept between the day of the robbery on the 2nd of March and when it was recovered later that month. Anyone who saw that motorbike, it's got the distinctive yellow and black shock absorbers, and it's as I said earlier, it's a special customs edition. They're not that common.
John Strafford, thanks very much indeed.
Thank you.
Patty.
Well, now to the murder of 26-year-old Deborah Linsley on a suburban London train. Debbie was last seen at Pettswood Station, where she caught the 2:18 train to Victoria. A French girl who may have overheard the attack remembered a red-haired man getting out of a compartment near to Debbie's at Victoria. And another witness remembers a man dousing a cut in the station's gents' toilets. Well, Superintendent Alec Edwards is here with us. I gather you're rather pleased by the developments tonight.
Yes, we are. We've had in excess of 100 calls in about the crime, and some of those have been passengers not previously traced. Very, very pleasing.
Which is extraordinary to say that it was such a tiny train.
Yes, very much so.
And despite the fact it's been in the national newspapers
Yes.
quite a lot. I gather the reward has gone up now.
Yes, we've had a further call boosting the reward by £2,000, which has now made it just short of £35,000.
Obviously, this is a case people feel very strongly about,
Yes,
isn't it?
people are responding to it excellently.
Right. Now, what about this red-haired man?
Yes, we've had a number of sightings of that man in the Victoria area, and again, we will be following those leads.
And that one of them, I gather, from a policeman.
Yes, a policeman who works outside London has telephoned in to say he may know who that person is.
Now, you've had one individual call, I know, from someone who was quite upset, haven't you?
Yes, this person called in and named a person by a first name. We would like that person to call back, and we would treat his call in confidence.
And that person was seriously quite upset.
Yes, crying on the telephone. We would like that person to call us back as soon as possible.
So let's hope that they do. Thank you very much indeed. Nick.
After last month's programme, a viewer led police to a flat in Bristol which had been abandoned with BBC One still on. It looked as though the people there had watched Crimewatch and fled. Well, we had a photograph and we think we might have identified this suspect. This is a new picture. If you know who that is, please do call us. As for that extraordinary robbery of the two indomitable ladies in a Wiltshire country house, remember early on the morning of March the 27th, Miss Mills, the housekeeper, was woken by noises downstairs.
Miss Gaskell, wake up, we've got intruders.
Heavens, where's my dressing gown?
The robbers got away with tens of thousands of pounds worth of antiques and valuables. The ladies had to file through a metal banister before they could raise the alarm. Detective Chief Inspector Terry Ford's on the case, and you've had quite an encouraging response, but haven't actually recovered the property yet, which is the main thing.
Sadly not, Nick. We've had over 50 calls so far, but only a very few number of calls in respect of the property itself. I'd really like to focus people's attention upon the crest, the family crest that's to be found on the silverware and the two chairs that were stolen.
There it is on the chairs. And the silver, it's quite distinctive. It has a motto sometimes underneath it, but it's an oak tree, and it's pretty obvious if you see silver in a shop like that.
Yes, it may well be that this property hasn't reached the reputable dealers yet. It might be still in the underworld. Hasn't reached the reputable dealers yet, and those are the people that I would like to appeal to now. Reputable antique dealers, if they do see that property, please do give us a call. It would be a real bonus if it were being offered by two Irishmen.
They were wrapped in napkins stolen from the house. They were fairly distinctive too.
Yes, the napkin with the initials EAW thereon, and the numbers 12.32 underneath. I've had no cause at all receiving those napkins, so they may still be hidden somewhere.
But you have had some individual names of possible suspects.
Yes, we've had a few suspects put forward, Irishmen, and we're hoping that we'll get more calls about those.
OK, straightforward. Thanks very much. Patty.
Now to all the calls we've had on incident desk and photo call. First, Helen Phelps, what sort of night has it been, especially on the case of this awful arson at the pub in Exeter?
An excellent response. We've located the driver of the black Saab Turbo that was seen around the pub at the material time, and it appears he has been eliminated from our inquiries, which has saved a lot of legwork by the investigating officers. But we still want information on the arson attack itself. And Exeter Police have set up a special number for tonight as Exeter 39991. If anyone has any information, call there.
Now this burned body of a man found near Great Harwood in Lancashire, I gather you may have a strong lead on that.
Yes, it's quite dreadful. Yes, a viewer believes it could be a relative of his who has been reported missing to the Leicestershire Police. That's being checked out now. But there are still some lines of inquiry that we need information on, particularly two vehicles seen around that lay-by, a yellow post office van and also a blue Vauxhall-type vehicle.
And finally, the Wolverhampton suspect. In fact, sorry, this is the picture of the Yorkshire con man.
Oh, now we've switched to the Wolverhampton suspect.
Yes.
Now we've switched back. But the Wolverhampton suspect, well, we had a number of calls there, two names being put forward. But a lot of callers have asked to see the suspect again. There he is, 5'5", very thin, semi-permed hair, with a Cockney accent. Anyone know him? Then ring.
So, a very good night's policing for you, Helen.
Very much so.
Good, thank you, Nick.
There was an attack of such barbarity, David, in Ashby de la Zouch. It's hard to believe it really happened, but there's somebody who might be paralysed for the rest of their life. He tried to sell his car through the paper. A man came, wanted a test drive, and suddenly produced a knife and started stabbing him wildly. Now, you've got some very good leads on that.
Yes, amazingly so. All for a Renault 5, would you believe? We've had a call from a police officer who says they arrested a man recently who was using the same method, indeed the same publication, to obtain his advertisers, to steal cars, and when arrested was in possession of a large knife. So that looks very interesting. And also another sighting of this man between the place where he got off the bus to go actually to the rendezvous where he picked up this poor victim.
Sounds encouraging. The Gateway check fraud, also, that's a fairly encouraging response.
Yes, indeed. We've got over 200 calls on that, with sightings of the Mercedes, but in particular we've had a call from a viewer who, watching tonight's programme, was horrified to discover they'd accepted a cheque for £5,750 down in Tunbridge Wells and parted with their red BMW. So there's a hot car that we'd like viewers to look out for. The number is Alpha, that's A147 FPC. Now, we think that car was obtained tonight on one of these forged Gateway
Please take
checks.
a note of that number. Write it down. See if you spot that in the coming days. Rolex watch you were after.
Yes,
in connection with the murder
possibly
case.
in connection with a murder. We've had 12 calls there. One woman's called in to say she believes she recognised the picture that we showed, and she thinks she had a very close relationship with the man involved in that particular case. There he is. Also a couple of other suggestions as to who he might be.
I know we've also possibly found the woman who was wanted for passing stolen cheques in Mallorca. David, thanks very much indeed.
And if you still have information, I ought to tell you that the lines are closing down now, but we'll give you local numbers that you can ring in just a moment, and you can always write to us at Crimewatch UK, BBC TV, London W12 8QT. And we hope to have more progress to report tomorrow morning, when we'll have details on open air at about 11:35.
I've just heard, incidentally, we've heard from someone who saw a man bearing a knife at Victoria Station just after the killing of Deborah Linsley. We'll be back in 4 weeks' time. That's on Thursday, the 12th of May. Till then, of course, don't wait for Crimewatch. Do call the police, not just on tonight's crimes, but if you think you have any information about any sort of crime. Above all, don't have nightmares. Do sleep well. Good night.
Good night.